foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakal Kadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are teaching this truth and sincerity, and a shout out to Yahakian that's out there in the four corners of the earth proclaiming this truth, going into the cities and proclaiming the truth on the streets. As we know, things are shaking down. Just found out about a law that's here in my state, California, that bans the Bible, that you have to register your Bible as a assault weapon, and, so eventually, as they had stated, that they want this to take place nationwide, and so we know that eventually that's what's going to happen, bringing in the famine of the Word. They kind of show you that shit in the movie, The Book of Eli. Only thing is, with that Jake that was in that movie, The Book of Eli, it was written on his heart. So by the time all that shit had ended, he remembered what was in the Bible, and they were able to translate it. Anyhow, Trump confirms meeting with Kim Jong-un after seeing top Saigon aide at Oval Office. A meeting between the two leaders, the United States and North Korea, will take place in Singapore on June 12. U.S. President Trump confirmed after receiving a senior official from Pyongyang at the White House. So, again, that looks like they're going to have these talks. But wait, there's more. Few days left to avoid full-scale trade war between the United States and Europe. France. Washington has just a few days to take some urgent measures if it wants to avoid unleashing a full-scale trade war with its European allies. France's financial minister Bruno Le Maire has warned during a G7 meeting. We will have a few days to take the necessary steps to avoid a trade war between the EU and the United States to avoid a trade war among G7 members, Le Maire told journalists following a meeting of the G7 finance ministers in Canada's mountain resort of Whistler, British Columbia. He added that it is up to the U.S. to make the first move. So, again, these taxes are here to really hurt the middle class. The EU is not alone in its desire for payback. Canada and Mexico have also vowed to retaliate against the new U.S. tariffs. And there's more upon that, because, believe it or not, let's pull one of these up here. Mexico responds to U.S. tariff by imposing own duties. Mexican authorities have introduced tariffs on goods and products imported from the United States to respond to U.S. President Trump's controversial duties on metals. A list of the Mexicari Economy Ministry published in the governmental official gazette included a 20% tariff on U.S. pork, legs and shoulders, apples and potatoes, 20 to 25% on types of cheese and bourbon as of Tuesday. The list also showed that Mexico will impose tariffs of 50% to 25% on U.S. steel products in direct response to U.S. metal tariffs, which was introduced in March, and would include 25% duty on steel and 15% on aluminum. So, either way, what's happening is the deep state, Amalek, is fucking off the allies. And there's more. U.S.-led coalition warplanes pound northeastern Syria, killing 10 civilians. Nearly a dozen civilians have lost their lives, with the U.S.-led coalition purposely fighting the Daesh Takfiri terrorist group out of a series of aerial assaults in Syria's northeastern province of Hasakah. So just like they were doing in 2014, same shit here, terrorizing the people of Syria, pretending to fight the terrorist groups. Local sources speaking on condition of enmity told Syria's official news agency that the U.S.-led aerial strikes targeted a large Al-Jaza village north of Daeshid town and near the border with Iraq, leaving 10 people dead. The sources added that there were women and children among the fallen victims. So, that's what United Snakes is doing. But wait, there's more going on in Syria. Syria sends letter to UN slamming U.S. airstrikes on Syrian soil. The Syrian government sent a letter to the UN slamming the U.S. coalition's latest airstrikes that allegedly killed 10 civilians in Al-Hasaka. The Syrian Foreign Ministry sent a letter to the UN Security Council and the Security Council chairman in connection with the illegal attacks by the international coalition against the peaceful inhabitants of Syria and against the sovereignty, unity, and security of the Syrian territory, the Foreign Ministry said. But you know the United States is just going to keep on doing it, because that's what Amalek tells them to do. So, there's more. Afrin for sale. Turkish-backed rebels buy bases in northwest Aleppo. So, like Bashar al-Assad said, you know, Turkey, all these countries in there are all terrorists, because that's who Turkey supports, is the terrorists. The rebel group Fatah al-Haram has begun purchasing bases in the Afrin region of northeast Aleppo, pro-opposition activists reported on Monday. According to the reports, Fatah al-Haram purchased the Brigade 135 base in Afrin from their allies from the Al-Mu'tasim Brigade of the Free Syrian Army, which is now Syrian Democratic Forces. Fatah al-Haram was previously headquartered in eastern Ghouta region of Damascus. However, their defeat at the hands of the Syrian Arab Army forced them to relocate to the Turkish-held areas. Since moving to northern Syria, Fatah has attempted to establish a foothold in the Afrin region that once controlled by the Kurdish-led People's Protection, YPG. So, anyhow, that's what's going on there. But there's more going on. Of course, I've been following the hurricane, so we'll take a look at that. Or not the hurricane, but the volcano. Sorry, because there was one in Guatemala as well as the one that continues in Hawaii.
Abu 7, we have some new activity at the crater in Hawaii. And you can see right here, the volcano, 5.5, 5.8 struck this region. Look down here real quick and see this was right there at the top. A negative 1.1 on one reading, the other reading a 1.8 kilometer. Now, we had scientists concerned, and they stated right here, and this was before these quakes, that these rocks, these big boulders were shook loose and they kind of plugged the hole up there at the top, and they were unsure what this meant. What was going to happen from here, if there was going to be big explosions to follow, or what exactly was going to go down. What they're saying right now is it's uncertain. One thing is for sure, within the past hour, there has been a pretty large earthquake right there at the top, strike the region. This comes on the heels of Guatemala getting hit by a volcano as well, at least 7 killed, that they're stating here, causing nearly 300 to be evacuated. And I've seen numbers all over the place, people saying 500 killed, 300 injured. What I see is 300 people evacuated. Not a defined number on the injured, although I'm going to say it's probably several. And there are video clips like this one that show this massive plume of smoke coming up as these people are just standing there filming. A lot of volcanic activity here recently. We've seen some wild weather already this year. And now here, just within the same day, Guatemala and Hawaii dealing with issues in terms of the volcanoes. I'm going to leave links. I'll continue to update with more information as I come across it. This has been Dabu 7. Peace.
So anyhow, yes, definitely giving credit to Dabu7, who puts together good videos, but I have more here.
The Lower East Rift Zone in the Leilani Estates area, Fissure 8 was the most active fissure overnight. It was producing fountains up to 250 feet high and continued to feed a lava flow moving north out of the Leilani Estates area, and then which turned northeast along Route 132 into the Nori Farms Road area. This morning, as of 6:15 a.m., it was about 2 miles from the Four Corners intersection, and that's about 2 miles to the west. Currently, the county is advising Vacation Lands and Kapoho Beach Lots residents to evacuate because of the danger of roads in the area being cut off by lava flows. And we should also note that cell phone towers and regular landlines have been heavily damaged in the area, and so there may be reduced service.
So, you know, if you were planning to go to Hawaii, I think that you might want to put your vacation plans on hold. You know, this is just going back to what Yahweh Shai said, that there'd be earthquakes in diverse places.
Volcano Observatory reports that vigorous lava eruptions continue from the Lower East Rift Zone fissure system in the area of Leilani Estates and Manapuna Gardens. Due to the active volcanic eruptions, Mayor Kim has issued a mandatory evacuation order for Leilani Estates. Starting at 12:06 p.m. today, the mandatory evacuation order is in effect for all civilians in Leilani Estates, including and east of Pamaic High Street. Everyone will have 24 hours from the effective date and time to evacuate the mandatory evacuation area. Persons remaining in the mandatory evacuation area beyond the effective date and time of this order do so at their own risk, with the knowledge that emergency responders may not respond. Persons in violation of this order are subject to arrest, and will be liable for any costs associated with rescue operations in the mandatory evacuation area. Refusing to evacuate may put you, your family, and first responders
into a FEMA camp.
Warnings from civil defense officials and stay alert.
So, just like they used Hurricane Harvey, they're using this to put people in them fucking concentration camps. And that's just one part of it. We ain't even dealt with Guatemala.
Summit crater, we are still seeing intermittent ash eruptions and still experiencing elevated seismicity and heavy gas output. The National Weather Service yesterday notified us of a plume rising to about 12,000 feet, but because of weather, visibility was so bad that we were having trouble confirming it on the ground. Regardless, we expect ash plumes to continue, as well as the elevated seismicity and gas emissions.
So, anyhow, that's, I will end it here, and then continue on more, because I only have like a 15-minute limit on these videos, as I don't have a full subscription to Screencast-O-Matic. But, yeah, this is just the Hawaii part, and, you know, and I always say pray for our camp there, because, you know, we don't have much more time to go out there and teach as we're seeing these things pop off. So, that must mean that we're closer to our goal. Shalom. Until next video. Looking at, you know, what Yahweh Shai said, that there should be wars, rumors of wars, famines and pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places. And for the, you know, we're seeing that we're near the end of this, because, you know, volcanoes definitely a part of it. And it was an earthquake that had started this. So, you know, and this is the latest that I know of concerning Guatemala. Guatemala suspends rescue operation after volcano eruption reports. The volcano Fuego, located west of Guatemala City, exploded on Sunday, leaving at least 69 people dead, according to the official data of the National Disaster Relief Service. The Guatemalan authorities decided to suspend search and rescue operations following the deadly eruption of volcanic volcano Fuego due to its decreased activity and foul weather conditions, the local media reported. However, local authorities reportedly did not specify how long the pause would last. So, I do have video for this. I'll show that in a minute here. Guatemalan President Jimmy Morales said on Monday declared a 3-day period of national mourning. Early in the day, the representative of the National Coordination for Disaster Reduction of Guatemala, David Leon, told Sputnik that the country hoped to tackle the consequences of the natural disaster by its own resources, despite readiness of many states to offer assistance. So definitely they're going to be taking people to FEMA camps because that's what they do during national disasters. They never want a good crisis to go to waste. The eruption has reportedly resulted in the evacuation of more than 3,000 people. So let's go to a video here. Alright, now I'll read some more. And we know that these manufactured crises, as well as, these trade wars and all that, are all done on purpose. Goldman Sachs warns of looming financial crash as monetary stimulus ends. U.S. financial markets might be headed for a collapse as a result of the gradual removal of accommodative monetary policies at the end of the speculative rally, which has caused a rift between stock and valuations and growth in the real economy. One of the largest investment banks, Goldman Sachs, says the stunning rally in U.S. stocks might come to a dramatic end as the artificial bull market is wearing down amid the ongoing removal of central bank stimulus. Goldman Bear Market Anticipation Index has reached its pre-dot-com crash and pre-Great Recession levels, measuring a reversal in stock market dynamics worth anticipating in the near term. So, I got a video on this, so I'm going to just play that. And of course, this is yours truly, Dabu7, who does great reports.
I've warned many times about how rigged and how propped up everything is. And here recently, Goldman's vice president himself busted in rigging and setting up stuff. I talked about that in a separate video. But we have some of the top financiers connected to Goldman now saying that if Trump wants to win this trade war, so to speak, that the market pretty much has to come crashing down. And others are looking and saying, well, it sounds ridiculous. Other people are looking at it and saying, oh no, it looks like we're heading in a good direction. Others disagreeing. All this back and forth. But following trade announcement over the past few days in terms of the trade war being on hold, and then basically it's on, full blown, people not knowing what to make of it, which way it's going. and a lot of the world looking, saying that the United States and the upper echelons of it are in utter chaos. But Trump puts out a tweet saying the United States must, at long last, be treated fairly on trade. If we charge a country $0 to sell their goods, and they charge us 25, 50, or even 100% to sell ours, he says that's unfair, and it can no longer be tolerated. I get that on the surface. The problem is so many of these deals are tied to other things. There's a reason why they're getting a deal cut over here and over there, because of other deals that are all connected together that they're not mentioning. Now, they first want to cite here that sudden changes in policy are behind some of this, and that's because they're saying that there's different people that are advising the president that have different viewpoints. And secondly, that even though they're trying to target, like I said before, the whole intellectual property theft by China, it seems to be on the side burner, so to speak, in terms of all this. The president seems to have focused more specifically on heavy industry like steel or on the auto sector. And he recently said here that if they put any tariffs on auto, there would be nothing to gain for the U.S. Now, they go on to state that keeping things like this keep voters engaged, more or less on the edge of their seat, everyone guessing of what's going to happen next and where this is going to go. But they also cite here that Trump put a warning out, and he did a couple months back, or quite a while back, as he had said, you know, you might take a hit and feel this in the stocks. He warned that specifically, that stocks may take a hit. His exact words. Explicitly warned that. So, how big of a hit is the question? If they do, indeed, here on this world stage. This is some of the latest. I'm going to leave a link, and I'll continue to update as I come across more. This has been Dabu7.
Alright, and we're going to go to some more. And here's some more that's going on. This is one of the BRIC nations. Arctic tropics. India welcomes first ever shipment of Russian liquefied natural gas. So they are trading amongst themselves without the United States. And that was the whole purpose of the BRICS nations. Russia's energy giant Gazprom has started to supplying liquefied natural gas to India. The first cargo docked on Monday at the Petron LNG terminal in India's watermost state, Gujarat. India's oil ministry, Dr. Pradhan, said that the country will import LNG from Russia's worth an estimated $25 billion over the contracted period of 20 years. Supplies will come from Gazprom's Yamal LNG project in the Arctic. So these countries are able to trade just fine without United States involvement. You know, all these fucking tariffs that these Zionists want to put on everything. And here's something else that you might have missed, so I felt I'd include it. Residents flee North Carolina dam in imminent danger of collapse. Thousands of people have ordered to evacuate part of North Carolina where a landslide has left a dam in imminent danger of collapsing. Authorities have ordered residents to flee the area south of the Lake Tahoma Dam, and where they could say could fail after heavy rainfall caused a landslide that compromised its structural integrity. The National Weather Service tweeted an urgent message. So, anyhow, I got a little video on this, as I'm trying to keep these within 15 minutes. Yours truly, Dabu7 again.
We have what emergency services are saying is a life-threatening situation. They're saying right now that the Lake Tahoma Dam in McDowell County is apparently leaking and flooding bad. And right now they're saying that everyone needs to get out of the area until they can get in there and further examine this. They're saying that thousands of people that live in this area have already been mandatorily evacuated. Thousands already. Now, this is what they're saying. As of the moment, we don't have any details as to where if a big chunk of it fell off or what. All they're saying is that it's leaking en masse, and for them to evacuate thousands of people, they have to think that this thing has the potential of buckling and releasing a lot of water into this area. Now, I'm going to continue to try to stay on top of this and kick out information regarding this. This is coming out of Marion, this shot right here. Stay tuned to Twitter for more updates. I'm going to leave a link below, but anyone out there that's caught up in these storms, be safe out there. This has been Dabu7. Peace.
All right, I'm going to read some scriptures and in this video. Oh, and just in case you missed it, it's in another video where another brother forwarded this information, but I'm just going to read it anyways. California Christians must now register Bibles as assault weapons. As you know, Christianity does not bring out the Bible. We, the Hebrew Israelites, are the ones bringing out the Bible. In a blow to believers across the West Coast, a new assembly bill assigned to law by Governor Jerry Brown Tuesday will require Christians in the state to register Bibles of all sizes, shapes, and translation versions as assault weapons. Well, we know the Christians aren't bringing out the Bible. You know, they'll only bring out John 3:16, you know. And, you know, we know that this law will increase, that eventually, you know, when you go to buy your Bible at Walmart or whatever, that you have to fill out a form just like you would buying a rifle or whatever, that, you know, you have to write, you know, you just have to go through a whole bunch. Oh, it looks like there's another false flag shooting. I'll get into that one later. But you can best believe that the shooting ain't real. Anyhow, really, this bill should be implemented nationwide, proclaimed Freedom from Religion co-president Dan Barker. So you know that eventually it probably will. Anyhow, I'm going to read some scriptures here. Well, we all know the Most High Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai has been visiting this place, especially Babylon the Great. And in the next video, I'll talk more about how they've been seeing more chariots, and that this is, you know, out there. And there shall be great earthquakes in various places, and famines and pestilences, and there will be fearful sights and great signs from heaven. You know, and we're seeing that take place, as you know as well as I do, that we have the famine of the word coming out, especially with that new law. You know, that eventually, you know, we'll just get more and more as they add it more to the law, you know. So it's really meant to come down on we 12 tribes, because we're the ones that are bringing out the Bible. Only thing Christians ever do is bring out John 3:16, you know, and then they lay hands on somebody and pretend to save them. Save them from what? Nothing's going to save the Edomites from these things that are taking place. In fact, they're going to be becoming more and more scared, because they're finding out, where is their God to protect them? They thought they had everything secure here in Babylon the Great. This should be happiness to us, because we know that the time is getting near. Shalom. I'm going to start off with a follow-up to a video I did last year. David Peel was an Israelite, tribe of Ephraim. And, you know, whether you are into that type of music or not, it's just think about some of the things he said. Now, I don't believe that he knew he was an Israelite, but he most certainly spoke against America. In fact, I tried to bring up the lyrics, but they don't put that up there, because he wasn't very well published as he became his own independent label afterward, after being on a major label. But anyhow, David Peel wrote a song called America, and I thought that you might find this one interesting. You know, it starts out as a normal song, but then kind of he gets right into it, man. And I'll you know, play just a little bit of how it starts, and then get to the parts that you'll find really interesting. So here we go. And yes, that is Yoko Ono on there. I'm going to get to the later part of the song because you'll find this interesting. Well, you get the gist of it, right? So let's go to the next part of this. The whole point of that, of course, we know that he was a Hebrew Israelite, whether he knew he was or not. Still, though, he detested everything about America in that song. Slavery in America. Killing, robbing, murder in America. Is that not what this place is? Because they have drinking all the blood of the saints? Think about it, you know. Esau likes to eat his meat raw because he loves the bloodshed and the murder that he always was. And it's expressed in that song. So either way, though, you find out later he was a tribe of Ephraim. Even though he used the surname Peel, you find out that his surname is, in fact, a Hispanic, or is pretty much a Latino surname, you know. David Rosario. You know, because he didn't take on his father's name, but that's neither here or there, though. Garcia, I believe, was his father's surname. Anyhow, he was known as David Peel. And what's going on now is that there's leaked military file reports something big under ocean. So America's being visited. In today's video, Chad Bocum reports leaked military file reports something big under ocean. You know, so I have that video, and man, they're freaking out because of the fact that you know, this is not just you know, classified information, that it's actually out there. And these Edomites, man, they don't know what to do because they're being visited by the Most High, and it's for everything that they have done to build up America, in particularly.
John and Alex, our fearless producers, who's going to be assisting us in the show today. Now, let me start with the topic and the title. Leaked military file reports something big under ocean. Now, this isn't a conspiracy file. This isn't a file somewhere in the dark web or what you call it. This is a government file written for and by the military. So I'm going to go over a little executive summary of what occurred, and I want to get into the details of what happened during this incident that, again, not a conspiracy. This is a file from the government written for and by the military. Okay, so I'm going to begin. Now, during the period of approximately November 10th to November 16th of 2004, the Nimitz Carrier Strike Group was operating off the western coast of the United States in preparation for their deployment to the Arabian Sea. Now, the USS Princeton, on several occasions, detected multiple anomalous aerial vehicles. Again, the USS Princeton, a carrier, detected multiple anomalous aerial vehicles operating in and around the vicinity of this training. So there was basically a training happening in the Arabian Sea by the U.S. military. The AAVs, again short for anomalous aerial vehicles, would descend very rapidly from approximately 60,000 feet down to approximately 50 feet in a matter of seconds. Again, I'm reading, if you're just tuning in, I'm reading from a government report written for and by the military. So, again, this AAV would be at 60,000 feet down to approximately 50 feet in a matter of seconds. They would then hover or stay stationary on the radar for a short time and depart at high velocities and turn rates. On November 14th, after again detecting the AAV, the USS Princeton took the opportunity of having a flight of two FA-18 fighter jets returning from a training mission to further investigate the anomalous aerial vehicle. The USS Princeton took over control of the fighter jets from the E-2C Airborne, again, which they're just doing some kind of training, and for intercepting reasons, they led them to make visual contact approximately 1 mile away from the anomalous aerial vehicle. Okay, so the fighter jets were sent to intercept it, to get contact of this AAV. And it was reported to be an elongated egg or tic-tac shape with a discernible midline horizontal axis. So basically it was solid, white, smooth, with no edges. This is what they're reporting. So again, this carrier group sent out some fighter jets to make visual contact with this anomalous aerial vehicle in the area, and it was reported to be an elongated egg or tic-tac shape with a discernible midline horizontal axis, which basically means it was solid, white, smooth, no edges. Now, it was approximately, this is what's being reported, 46 feet in length. And the FA-18 fighter jets and their radar could not obtain a lock on the AAV. However, it could be tracked while stationary and at slower speeds. The AAV took evasive actions upon intercept by these jets, demonstrating an advanced acceleration, aerodynamic, and propulsion capability. So, what does this mean? That means, right when they were trying to get a lock on this AAV, what occurred? It took evasive actions. Okay, just like, if you're in the middle of a battle, okay, I don't know if you've seen Top Gun, okay, with fighter jets in the battle, this AAV took advanced evasive actions, showing advanced acceleration, aerodynamic, and propulsion capability unseen before. The AAV, however, did not take any offensive action against this training group. However, given its ability to operate unchallenged in a close vicinity to the training, it demonstrated the potential to conduct undetected, this is important, reconnaissance, leaving the training with a limited ability to detect, track, or engage the AAV. This is basically an assessment. This is a summary of what occurred. Now, obviously, how everything led up to this event is much more in detail, but there is something else that I'm going to get into, and it's what one of the military personnel encountered as it was hovering over the ocean. And I think this is very important. Now, they've redacted names from this military file. If you want to see this government file, a lot of media outlets are reporting on it. You can find it on places like Zero Hedge as well. I'm sure Alex and John can pull up the article. And you can download the document. You can download the file.
So either way, Esau's being visited for his wickedness, for everything that he's done. And I'm just going to, go on to the next, because you're going to find this interesting, though, because they want to shut this down, because they know that they're about to be destroyed.
Obviously, it sounds to me that
this is a good day coming for us.
And it sounds like to me that this wasn't from any other country who has this kind of equipment. And it sounds like to me, America is the most advanced U.S. military on the planet. So if anybody's going to have something like this on this planet, it's going to be us.
And the Most High is going to turn these metal motherfuckers into junk. So, as I got cut off the last time, so that kind of sucked. But I was in the midst of this because the whole idea is we know that Alex Jones really didn't expose nothing, but, and that when it comes to these stories, like the Boston bombing and all that, he'll always say it's psychotropics, but he never said that the event didn't take place. But there were several others who came forward and put videos proving stuff. You may remember Red Silver J, others, which have been taken down and threatened by YouTube, and pretty much that, their videos ain't to be found anymore, proving the fact that these people were lying and that these so-called kids that were shot were actually childhood photos of the ones that showed up at the Super Bowl that year. You remember Sandy Hook Elementary School at the Super Bowl, and just, there was other proven stuff like, it's like, well, I thought it might be, sound like it was cans, and just, proving the fact that shotguns sounds versus sound like a bunch of cans. There's a big difference there, all kinds of inconsistencies, that one guy in the middle of supposed to be a victim of this, supposed to be a father who lost a child, and just all the stuff that's proven all this. Those videos can't be found anymore, But, Alex Jones has been targeted, made to look like the scapegoat. So more Sandy Hook families, FBI against agent file lawsuit against InfoWars Alex Jones. Oh, yeah, that's another thing, is that there is a card that labels Alex Jones as an FBI agent called Agent Provocateur, and there's a couple other ones. An active FBI agent who responded to the Sandy Hook Elementary hoax during the December 2012 shooting is a journalist group of families of victims and suing controversial talk show host Alex Jones for claiming the mass shooting was a hoax, and he never said it was a hoax. He had said that it was psychotropics that caused this guy to go shoot him up, The defamation lawsuit filed in Connecticut Wednesday mirrors one filed by the families of two other Sandy Hook's victims in Texas in April. So, again, we could just see, though, that, they're going after truthers. While the nation recoiled at the terrible reality of the shooting at Sandy Hook's elementary schools, Alex Jones saw an opportunity, said attorney Josh, and this whole thing was nothing more than a hoax, but Alex Jones wasn't the guy bringing it out. He just said it was psychotropic. So, again, just more bullshit, right? Same bullshit, different day. Alright, let's go to another video now, as, we know that these Edomites are freaking out about what's about to take place here, World War III, but also the main thing is that they're now being visited by the Most High, them chariots. So these American terrorists are screwing around with Moab. So Moab is getting ready to fight the whore, Babylon the Great. China installs cruise missiles on South China Sea outposts, CNBC. China has installed anti-cruise ship missiles for surface-to-air systems on 3 of its outposts in South China Sea. U.S. News Network, CNBC, reported on Wednesday, citing sources with direct knowledge of U.S. intelligence reports. So, yeah, man, they're getting fucking tired of the U.S. fucking with North Korea, which is one of its allies, and, of course, fucking with them, you know, and they're tired of the fucking, you know, pretty much the whore. So let's take a look at the video.
Defense Secretary James Mattis has said that China is deploying missiles in the South China Sea.
China has placed new surface-to-air missiles in the Spratlys, nuclear-capable bombers on Woody Island.
The placement of these weapon systems is tied directly to military use for the purposes of intimidation and coercion.
Hey everybody, I'm Chad Booksan with Alternative Media Television. General James Mattis is warning China not to have any permanent missiles in the South China Sea. They already have obviously built up these man-made military islands. There already are weapons on there. Now usually the weapons have been due to training that China is obviously preparing for an offensive by the U.S. in the West, and they're defending the South China Sea by any means necessary. Now General James Mattis is warning of serious consequences to China if they install permanent, right, anti-aircraft missiles, other forms of missiles on these islands, which obviously they're defending. Now, again, why are they defending these islands? Because of the billions and billions of dollars of resources that's in the South China Sea, power, territory, resources. We know this is why countries even exist. What the U.S. administration, after administration, has been doing, they want to prevent another superpower from growing to the strength of the Soviet Union. There is no other country who is set basically like the U.S. empire. China is trying to stretch out, but look what China has done. They stretched out just a little bit in their own territory in the South China Sea. They can't even claim their own territory in the Pacific without the U.S. administration and obviously the deep state. This is how it is. Challenging them with war, challenging them with aggression. The way China is, they view themselves as the next world leader, or possibly in that state as of now, in the agenda behind these globalist elites pushing China to be that world leader. So there is no way they are going to step back from this buildup.
10 days from now, President Trump will meet face-to-face with North Korea's Kim Jong-un.
North Korean official, a spy chief accused of many crimes, hand-delivering this plus-sized letter from Kim Jong-un to President Trump.
You have this meeting set, and we saw this North Korean aide. He came to the White House, presented Donald Trump with a personal letter from Kim Jong-un. I'm really curious to see what that letter did say. You know, it probably, at the end, it was sincerely Rocket Man, right? That's probably what it said at the end. But let's take a look. We have now the summit back on, right? So it was off, then it's on, and it's off, and it's on. It's just a big game. It's just a big show. I won't be surprised if it's off again in just like another couple of days, and then it's on again. Because at the end of the day, it's China needing to get what it wants. So if China's not getting what it wants, it kind of pushes back Kim Jong-un and vice versa. While you have General James Mattis just the other day threatening China to stop militarizing in their own neighborhood. So, what is this meeting going to show? First of all, you have top generals who basically Kim has just either let go or God knows where they are now. About 3 top generals in the North Korean military who supposedly Kim Jong-un is concerned of a coup attempt because you have these hardliners in North Korea who do not want denuclearization. But again, that could just be propaganda because we don't see North Korea denuclearizing no matter what conversations occur. So maybe just the whole psychological look of it, no, North Korea is stepping away or, you know, or kneeling to the United States. So you have these hardliners in the country who are basically saying, okay, if Kim Jong-un is going to be a puppet of the U.S., we're going to try a coup attempt. So you have these generals who were literally ousted in recent days, which I find really interesting. But keep in mind, Muammar Gaddafi, all of these other people who basically did dismantle either the chemical weapons program or the nuclear program, and look where they are today. Look where they are today. So I would watch what China is going to do in the build-up to this meeting. Watch what China is going to do in the build-up to this meeting. How are they going to respond? And especially, how are they going to respond from the threats by General James Mattis? Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, my name is Chad. This is AMTV.
So, anyhow, that's what's going on there. But wait, there's always more, of course, because, while that's going on, that the underground news, which should be mainstream, but we know mainstream is run by the Amalekites. Dabu 7 has put together another video about what's happening, because we know as well as anything else that these tariffs, these taxes, are meant to hurt the middle class, which I've been talking about as I teach out there on the streets. That the middle class, they really don't want the middle class at all. They just want either, pretty much the rich and the poor. That's all they want, rich or poor. Just like the Revelation chapter 13 goes. He causes all, both small and great, that's rich and poor, to receive the mark. That's what this is all about. So here's Dabu 7.
Talked about the issue in California when it comes to the money situation, the middle class, housing, and a lot of issues all the way around. And believe it or not, this 848 square foot home on Plymouth Drive in Sunnyvale, California, which was in the poor part of town versus, say, Mountain View back in the 90s, it was listed for $1.45 million, and it sold within 48 hours for $2 million. They're paying, which you can see right there. And because of this issue in California, it has caused this massive exodus. Now, what they're trying to say is that the new homes and the new laws that have been put into place are trying to get people to buy new houses. People are saying they just can't afford it, when what I just showed you goes for $2 million in California, in this one area. But there's been all kinds of reasons that people have cited over time. The growing homelessness, wildfires, earthquakes, the politicians that seem to do some of the craziest things imaginable. But they're saying for most families, the decision to leave California comes down to just one basic factor, and that is money. They're saying that it's not just the housing prices that are driving this exodus. They're saying punitive taxes, more than twice as much as what some other states are paying, are eating away at disposable income. Nearby, Arizona's income tax rate is 4.54% versus California's 9.3%. While the new tax bill may even accelerate this exodus.
So you can see what's going on there. And gas is almost $4 a gallon here. So anyhow, going to continue on about the Guatemala volcano, and and probably end this video because it can only be up to 15 minutes.
Villagers died in a myriad of different ways as molten ash spewed from Guatemala's Fuego volcano. AP correspondent Mark Stevenson explains.
Several of the stunning images are the myriad ways in which people died in this eruption. Some were burned to death when buildings were set aflame by fast-moving flows of lava, clouds of ash, and then the most terrible thing is that the ash mixed with water and sent flows of what appeared to be steaming mud down the river valleys and down the creeks.
Evacuations in Guatemala have increased to affect 3,200 people.
300 of them were rushed away for treatment. And authorities say with about 2 million people living around the volcano, the number of dead and injured is likely to rise.
Guatemala's disaster management agency says at least 25 people are dead after a volcano erupted Sunday near Guatemala City, spewing molten lava and covering nearby villages in thick smoke and ash. Disaster officials said the eruption has affected more than 1 million people, with 3,100 evacuated from areas around the volcano and 20 injured people taken to health centers. Crews are assisting people
You can call them FEMA centers.
Tenango provinces and carrying out search operations for people who are missing. It's a river of lava that overflowed its banks and affected the Rodeo village. There are injured, burned and dead people, National Disaster Coordinator Sergio Cabanas said on the radio. We are evacuating and rescuing people. Fuego is located about 44 kilometers.
Yep, taking them to FEMA camps.
Guatemala City, and is close to the city of Antigua, which is a popular tourist destination. David De Leon, spokesman for the National Disaster Prevention Authority, said about 300 people from areas near Fuego have been evacuated. La Aurora International Airport was closed because of the threat to planes caused by the ash. President Jimmy Morales was to hold a news conference late Sunday, while officials were telling residents in the area to remain calm.
Yep, just remain calm. They'll take you to your nearest FEMA camp. Shalom. Until next time.
Russia and China say that they would try to block any attempts by the United States to sabotage the nuclear deal between Iran and the P5+1 group of countries.
We and China have a united position. This document was approved by the highest organ responsible for maintaining global security, the United Nations Security Council. And to reconsider such agreements is not acceptable. To do so would be an attempt to revise one of the greatest achievements of international diplomacy of recent times. We and the People's Republic of China will do all we can to counteract this so as not to allow similar extremely dangerous development of the event.
The foreign ministers Sergei Lavrov and Wang Yi told reporters that Moscow and Beijing think that the U.S. withdrawal from the JCPOA would be counterproductive as it reduces years of talks to zero. Iran's foreign minister has urged the European signatories to the accord to encourage Donald Trump to stay in the deal and to begin implementing Washington's part of the bargain. Germany's foreign ministry says European leaders are to warn Trump about the deterioration of the situation in case of U.S. withdrawal. Earlier, a top UN diplomat demanded that all parties to the Iran deal comply with the terms of the agreement.
The Secretary General remains convinced that the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action continues to be the best way to ensure the exclusively peaceful nature of Iran's nuclear program and to realize the promised tangible economic benefits for the Iranian people.
The UN official in charge of disarmament affairs said that the UN hopes that all participants remain committed to the implementation and to the long-term preservation of the nuclear accord. President Donald Trump gave his European allies a deadline until May 12 to fix the deal. Iran and other signatories on a number of occasions have stressed that they will not renegotiate the agreement. Political commentator E. Michael Jones says Washington's withdrawal from the nuclear deal between Tehran and the P5+1 group of countries will unite Iran, Russia, and China more than ever.
Well, that's why Macron visited Washington. That's why he's there now, to persuade Trump to stay in the deal. But I think that what they're going to have to talk to him about really has nothing to do with Europe. It has more to do with England's and Americans' traditional strategy in dealing with the Eurasian landmass. I'm talking about the Mackinder thesis, which said basically that the island nations, England and the United States, the Anglosphere, had to divide the Eurasian landmass. What Trump is doing is the exact opposite. He is dividing his own people, he's dividing NATO, and he's uniting the people he's opposing. So that what happens here is that if he reneges on the deal, you will have closer unity between Russia, China, and Iran. And in addition to that, you're going to have serious consequences in NATO, and specifically with Germany.
You're watching Press TV's Top 5. We're coming to you live from our headquarters in Tehran. I'm Kenise Fatima. Many thanks for joining us this hour. Now, Syria says experts from the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons have entered the city of Douma to probe an alleged chemical attack.
I have informed you before that the Syrian government has implemented all necessary measures to facilitate the arrival of the fact-finding mission to Syria. Today, the security team, the UN security team, entered Douma around 3 p.m. Damascus time. 8 a.m. New York Times.
The Syrian ambassador to the United Nations stressed that the team will start their work tomorrow if security conditions are met. Rachel Jafari's remarks come as the U.S. State Department had said earlier that the OPCW inspectors have not entered Douma. The Syrian diplomat also slammed U.S. occupation of Syria, adding that the U.S.-led forces have attacked 1/3 of Syria. He said the U.S., UK and France provide support to armed terrorist groups fighting against the Syrian army. Meanwhile, the United States and Russia have clashed at the UN Security Council over the alarming humanitarian situation in the Syrian city of Raqqa.
There's several protests against American occupations have already been held. American occupation that hasn't really brought anything positive to the inhabitants. The only effective solution to the current situation is to reestablish state structures in Raqqa. Another great area is...
Vasilina Benzia stressed that the presence of a U.S. airbase in Raqqa is a blatant violation of Syria's sovereignty. The Russian ambassador to the UN added that the recent U.S.-led missile attacks on Syria have set back efforts made to resume the Geneva talks. The Russian diplomat reiterated that the Syria conflict does not have a military solution. For her part, the acting deputy representative of the U.S. to the UN accused the Syrian government of bombarding civilians in Aleppo, Idlib and eastern Ghouta. Kelly Eccles-Curry added that Damascus has ignored a UN Security Council resolution calling for a 30-day ceasefire in Syria. Joining us via Skype from Atlanta is Jim W. Dean. He's the managing editor of Veterans Today. Many thanks for joining us here on Press TV, Mr. Dean. Now, tit-for-tat accusations being made at the UN Security Council between specifically Russia and the U.S., and it's not something new. We've been seeing this over the course of the past few weeks. However, when the Russians accuse the U.S. of not doing enough to safeguard civilian lives and to bring about a political resolution of the Syria conflict, are they right?
Oh, absolutely. We just see the U.S. now is trying to win the Syrian war by quote-unquote other means. And that is it's dragging things out. It's trying to build a new coalition. We're already hearing today that Trump's people are leaking some of his plans for removing U.S. troops, but they just want to replace them with mercenaries. Either from Saudi money, they'll bring in African troops, or they'll even bring in some of the big contractors to do private contractors. So much for removing American troops. They'll have the equipment, they'll be contracted, they'll be paid by Saudi Arabia, so he can claim that we got the America out, but America will still be there with basically Saudi Arabia, which is one of the biggest co-sponsors, maybe the biggest sponsor of terrorism in Syria and also in the Middle East, because they spent the most money and they've had all of that Wahhabi infrastructure all over the world to do it. So really we're in a continued war to defeat the Syrian government from consolidating and going forward with the peace process. That's what this whole attack was in East Ghouta, the planned gassing, fake gassing things that would allow the U.S. to come in there and bomb them and keep Assad from clearing all of those jihadi-infested areas around Damascus, which as long as that threat was still there and threatening the capital, really put Damascus in a hard position to go forward with elections and consolidating its power to basically bring all the factions together. So this war is still going on, but they're suffering a very big defeat because this gassing story is being torn down as we speak.
Right. Very quickly, if you can, Mr. Dean, the Syrian government also has accused the U.S. time and time and again, and we heard at the Security Council once again, that its presence on Syrian soil has nothing to do with fighting terrorism. But that is the reason that the U.S. claims to be following now, isn't it?
It is, and when you have 100% media support, thanks for the incredible influence that the Israeli lobby has over media, there's really been no one really contesting that line here in the U.S. So we have the marriage of not only the U.S. government and the U.S. coalition governments, but we also have the marriage between between them and media to control what the people hear over and over again, and then what they don't get to hear. And there's still huge numbers of Americans that have no idea that this gassing attack in Syria was an absolutely fabricated hoax because they just don't see it anywhere in U.S. media.
All right, that's Jim W. Dean, the managing editor of Veterans Today, joining us via Skype from Atlanta. Mr. Dean, it's always great having you with us here on Press TV.
Moscow has condemned the, quote, bellicose and anti-Russian nature of the new U.S. nuclear policy that calls for developing new, smaller nukes. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov expressed deep concern about the strategy, calling it confrontational. He warned that his country will take necessary measures to ensure Russia's security. China's defense ministry has also slammed the U.S. for portraying Beijing as a potential nuclear adversary in its nuclear strategy review. The Pentagon released a document on Friday. It contains plans to revamp U.S. nuclear arsenal to diversify its options against potential enemies. In the summary of the nuclear review, U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis named China and North Korea as potential threats. He also noted that the focus of the program will be on countering Russia's nuclear activities. Now let's go to San Diego. We have political commentary activist Craig Galzetti joining us. Good to have you with us, Craig. This new U.S. nuclear policy, Russia is calling it confrontational, and Mattis says the focus is to counter Russia's nuclear activities. What is your evaluation?
At first glance, the new American policy seems somewhat insane. It's furthering development and deployment of smaller nuclear weapons, with verbiage defining these smaller nuclear weapons as deterrent, how more nuclear weapons, particularly nuclear weapons that are designed to be used on battlefields in smaller scale wars, is somehow a deterrent. I don't quite understand it. I think this has everything to do with what's been American policy for the better half of the 20th century into the 21st century, and that is to attempt to establish the nuclear arsenal as an element of American foreign policy. The United States is the only country in the world that publicly states that nuclear weapons will be used first in instances where, quote, American national security and vital interests of her and her allies are at risk. No other country has this policy. The Russians historically have always had a no first use policy that has been amended slightly to be if the state itself was under existential threat, they would consider using nuclear weapons. However, the United States is continuing in a long line of a policy that just has nuclear weapons as an element to bully other countries. It's interesting to see this document talk about how the world has moved backwards into a great powers style worldview. It's as if Trump is trying to channel Otto von Bismarck and Metternich under the guise of furthering America's nuclear arsenal. It's absurd, and the Russians, the Chinese, and every other country have the absolute right to be threatened by this verbiage.
All right, I appreciate your comments and insight. Political commentator and activist Craig Galzetti joining me from San Diego.
Well, I'm pretty sure those are UFOs. Saturday, September 15th. Or 16th. 2017. Holy shit. What the fuck?
Brakatay Hawa, Brakatay Hawashai, Brakatay Hawa, Brakatay Hawashai, Brakatay Hawa, Brakatay Hawashai, Yahaba Shem Hawashai, Brakia, 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 Brakatay Hawa, Braknawa. Shalom. When the real Hebrew Israelites come to you week in and week out, prophesying the return of the Most High and His heavenly Son. All praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles of New York, the great millstone of GMS. Honors to all Akim around the planet, lifting up the name of Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, and truth and sincerity. The so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Indians are the real biblical Israelites by blood. And amongst our descendants, going back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we've also mixed with the different nations, and now some of us look like the other nations, and we call that the confusion of faces scattered abroad. So it might be looking like Chinese, Japanese, white, Jewish, or whatever. But if your bloodline goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and you can believe the words of the real men of the Lord, the prophets today, you might be an Israelite. All right, this is two. And with no further ado, I'm going to jump right into it. From the title, you see UFO sightings are increasing. Is prophecy fulfilled? UFO sightings are increasing. Is prophecy fulfilled? UFO sightings and media coverage of his prophecy being fulfilled in our faces, and revealing his armies and chariots and angels stirring the heathen. So the Most High is coming back, and they call them, but we call them IFOs, identifiable flying objects, because it's identified in the scriptures, whether you want to receive it or not. Okay. I'm going to go hit an article that is showing this is I think he's coming right now. Somebody coming right now. I don't know who that is, but let me know we're doing the show. So let's let me get Shalom Makia Bashim Shabakata Shalom. All right, close it up, Pop. Okay, kind of. We'll close it. All right, so I'm going to this little video right here, and just play a little bit.
Welcome back to Third Phase Moon. Blake Cousins here with more UFO sightings coming in from around the world. It's been quite exciting. We're going to get to it. Check this video out right now.
Oh! What? What? What is this? Whoa, what is this? Whoa!
Okay, now
it is 5:20.
Now I'm
Hey,
Lord is Lord.
Look at this! Oh my God!
Now more and more of this evidence is coming out and being given on the mainstream.
What in the hell is that?
And in the scriptures, one of the ones. First one is Jeremiah 10:2. Learn not the way of the heathen. Now look, there. Matter of fact, I want to pause it right there. You see that? All right. Sometimes in even bigger things, with even more chariots, they have that birds flying like this, that flying V, and it shows you that. I'm gonna get a couple scriptures real quick off the bat. All right. Let me get Jeremiah 10:2, because you see she's been dismayed because she don't know what the hell it is. That chariot came real close to the ground right now. She'd be running, thinking that a little green alien, which is what the white man wants you to think, some Martian, you know, and they what you want you to think, some alien or some guy from they don't give you the fucking movie from Mars is there you go. That's what they want you to think. That's in there. Now one thing you gotta know, why did they make them green? It's in the scriptures. They make the aliens green because the angels of Yahweh Shai are in those chariots, so-called black angels. That's what the scriptures describe him as. And Yahweh Shai wears a green garment, right? That's in the book of Daniel, right? If I can just go put the barrel, right, and go into Daniel. Talking about the a certain man, talking about Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and the chariots. And this is how Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai looked, according to Daniel in his vision. Daniel 10:5. Then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like to the color to polished brass, which is like burnt brass, which is dark skin. And the voice of the words were like the voice of a multitude. You go from here. Now keep remember that body of was also beryl. I mean, he had a garment. His body was covered in what it was a beryl color. We're gonna look up beryl in a minute. But let's go marry this with Revelations, the first chapter. That certain man was Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, who they called Jesus. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which is Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, right? The revealing, the manifestation, the unveiling, as you see in this word right here, unveiling, right? Going straight to the point, because you can read all this, you know, you need to catch up. We got it, all right? Verse 13, in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, that's that same man that was in Daniel, clothed with a garment down to the foot, a body of beryl, and girt with the paps of golden girdle, with a golden girdle. He had a golden girdle, and Daniel, his head and his hairs were white like wool. We're the ones who got woolly hair and woolly beards. Okay, his head and his hairs. His head refers to this right here, and his hairs refer to right here. White like wool, right? As white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice was the sound of many waters, just like it said in Daniel's. Okay, so the scripture said he had a barrel, right? Let's go look up barrel. Yeah, mixed a barrel, but this is one of the most common types. It's right here, right? It's green. That's one of the most common types of beryl, right? It's a greenish garment, okay? Right? So this is that's referring to the garment, the body, which is the garment of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Let me see if I can go. Yahweh Shai. I think the brothers. It's going to be a lot of Google images on Yahweh Shai. And you'll see his garment is a green garment, right? Which is over his body, which is why it says his body had a body of beryl, all right? There you go, right? Just add a green garment, just simple as that, okay? So now they want to play with it and make the aliens some fantastical green shit, you know what I'm saying? It's all Esau's part of Esau's covering up, okay? I'm going to play games with you, all right? I'm going to play this a little bit more, and I'm just going to get a couple scriptures, and I'm going to let it go. Okay, because they were moving, and then you can go read Ezekiel, the first chapter. It's going to break all this down, how they move when they want to move, and appear like lightning flashes. All right? And we're not going to go into all his things, but you saw they had a flying V. I'm going to show you that in the scriptures, too. I'm going to play a little bit of this one, too. Because this is on mainstream news here. They're not doing it on YouTube side videos. They're doing it in the mainstream. They're letting this go. This is off Apostle Tahar's page. All right. What is the 666 Smart X UFO program? We may not be alone. And this is hot right now, all through mainstream and through the off stream. You know.
From now, the former Pentagon military official who ran the covert government program up until this last November, Luis Elizondo. Luis, thank you so much for your time tonight. I mean, first, tell us what the purpose of the program was and why it was so secretive.
Sure. The purpose of the program, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, was really designed to do just that. From a national security perspective, identify those things that we see, whether we see them electro-optically, we see them with radar, we see them as eyewitness reports.
So he's telling you they've seen this on radar. They've seen the chariots eyewitness, first on first. They've seen it in all kind of different forms, and they have been seeing this since the beginning of time, because the Lord has revealed himself to the different nations in chariots and the Israelites in chariots off and on. He led Alexander, he led Christopher Cologne. All right, they couldn't understand everything what it was, but the Lord was interacting with the chariots, and he does all the time. Right, UFOs over Washington D.C.
They led the wild men to the shot.
That's right, they led them west. Absolutely, right. Just wonder. I'm sure if I can find it real quick. I don't want to go into the whole video, but I'm gonna go straight to it. I'm gonna play it, but I don't want to hear his commentary. But this right here is video of chariots flying over the White House back in the 50s. After that was the creation of NASA and the Air Force and etc. All right. So this has been going on for some time, and periodically the chariots will let the Lord will let the heathens know that, hey, I'm out here and I'm coming, and there's some flying the flying V formation right there. Okay. So let's see which one I'm gonna look. Oops. See if I play a little more.
Through a myriad of different ways and avenues that we receive the information, and try to ascertain and determine if that information is a potential threat to national security, in a nutshell.
So what did you find?
Well, we found a lot.
We found a lot of angels. And then we're going to read in Psalm 68. He said he had thousands of angels, and that word angels there is in repetition. All right, meaning thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands to the thousands. All right.
I think it's probably been a little bit mischaracterized in some of the social media you see and what people put out, because a lot of times when we don't have a lot of information, we tend to fill in those gaps with what we think is logical. And there's still, by the way,
and the shit that they think is logical is this. Which is retarded, because they not want to tell you that it's actually this. The angels of the Lord, and the scriptures break it down as the angels of the Lord. We do a lot of lessons. I'm going to go into that Ezekiel, the 1st chapter. Okay. It's like it. And you already put it up there. That's the outcome. Let's see.
A lot we really don't know. I think what's important is that we have identified some very, very interesting, anomalous type of aircraft. Let's call them aircraft. Things that don't have any obvious flight surfaces, any obvious forms of propulsion, and maneuvering in ways that include extreme maneuverability beyond...
Okay, let's prove what he just said. And that's right there. I wasn't even going to go there, but now I have to. Because that's Ezekiel, the 1st chapter. Start off with verse 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. And it says, behold, a whirlwind. So before you get simple, well, that's a tornado. Yeah, let me show me a fiery tornado, motherfucker. Right? Show and a great cloud, and mist of fire and color amber moving around. That goes to the chariots. Let's go link whirlwind with chariots. This is Isaiah 66:15. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. His chariots are, he calls them like a whirlwind. Why? Because they can spin, and they can come as clouds. They can shape, they can morph, and they can move about. Well, let me just go read it through the scriptures. All right. First of all, he says a great cloud and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. All right. And we can see that there's a brightness about it here in this video that we're just playing right here. All right.
What in the hell is that?
How can you see those lights up in the sky? All right. If it wasn't lit up, okay, they're lit up.
All right, they lit up. All right, and it's that birds flying, but they lit up. Right, that's why they call it a fire, because it's something that's lit. It has to be fiery. Okay. He said, and I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof, the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Right? And also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had a likeness of a man. Right? So they had a likeness of what? Man. Okay? Let's go examine this, man. All right? I'm not going to read every single one, just jump around. And the feet were straight feet, and the sole of the feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. So does Yahweh Bashem Yahushai have burnished brass skin? Absolutely. That matches up with what we read in Daniel, and it also matches up with what we read in Revelations. All right, now it's matching up in Ezekiel. That's what's called the harmony of the scriptures, precept upon precept, precept upon precept. All right. Now let's go into so you know there's people inside the chariots, and let's see. And we did a lesson on this, so you can go look at our old, recent videos. You'll see the breakdown of Ezekiel 1 when we were talking about angels. All right. But this is he said they have unnatural maneuverability. All right. Ezekiel 1 and 12, and they went everyone straight forward, whither the spirit was to go. They went and they turned not when they went. All right. And the likeness of living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire. What's the shape of a matter of fact? Let's not guess. Let's go see. Burning coal. See if we can find a piece of a burning coal. Yeah, they're cylindrical. And yep, and that's the amber. Yep, that glow. All right, so they have a glow about it, and they're cylindrical. That's burning coals, man. All right. So you take one little burning coal, and it looks like one of them chariots of the Lord, and that's why he said, "Man, it's like a burning coal." All right, because you know he's trying to describe what the chariots look the best of his knowledge with what he knows that exists in his time. Okay, and that's through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And like the appearance of lamps, it went up and down among the living creatures, and of the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. So they're very fast and they moved around. All right, and this is that's the description. Matter of fact, I'll go another one. They're so high. What's the wheel here? Verse 16. And the appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl. And they four had one likeness, and their appearance was, their work was as if it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. And if you go look at all modern day UFO Independence Day, right? If you look at the ones that they show us in the movies, it's a wheel within a wheel. You see the circle right here and a big circle. That's what they make these chariots. They get it straight out of the scriptures, man. All right, a wheel within a wheel. All right, but it's also shown in we see it in real life. Okay.
I would submit the healthy G forces of a human or anything biological.
So it says shit. See, they move with speeds with that healthy source of a normal human being. The G couldn't even handle it. All right.
Hypersonic velocities.
Super fast, like lightning. He says a flash of lightning.
Low observability.
They can cloak themselves. They can disappear and they can reappear.
Positive lift. Again, seemingly defying the laws of aerodynamics.
So that's so-called UFOs, and this is a former Pentagon military intelligence officer on CNN telling you they're prepping you for the chariots of the Lord, man, and they're prepping you also for a false attack for Project Blue Beam shit, that they got their own versions of the chariots, which is going to pale in comparison to the chariots of the Lord. All right, you're going to see the whole article. Go watch this old article, okay? And I'm just going to give you another little slights from the White House.
I actually want to ask about UFOs.
So they're saying everybody like all this shit is staged. Even the press questions and what they ask, all this shit is staged, man. All right.
Several media reports this week disclosed.
I was gonna say, I don't know if that's a coincidence or not. I feel like I already want to pass on this question, given that you've got aliens sitting among you.
And now he's already saying got aliens sitting among you. Do you know that who are the aliens? You go Jake right here. All right, that's what they consider the alien, because we are the sons of living power, and we are what we described in the scriptures as the angels are the same as us. All right, and she knows that there's aliens among us for real. Why? The angels of the Lord. Now they the real alien, but they're gonna call the Most High and the chariots the angels aliens. All right.
I was gonna say, I don't know if that's a coincidence or not. I feel like I already want to pass on this question, given that you've got aliens sitting among you.
Several media reports disclosed the existence of a secret Pentagon program that was researching UFOs. Funding ran out for that in 2012. Does the president believe in the existence of UFOs, and would he be interested in restoring funding for that program?
So they admitted, she didn't deny that hold on, let me let you see.
That question hasn't come up in our back and forth over the last couple days, but I will check into that and be happy to see that.
So she didn't deny that they had the funding, that they were paying for it, and if you go more into this video, it goes into that the famous clip now that has been made famous over and over again.
This unidentified object that seemed to be making moves and maneuvers that pretty much, in their words, defied gravity or defied anything that we've ever seen before. And we posted a video on that a couple of days ago. We also went into the fact that the Pentagon admitted that for 5 years they operated a secret program to investigate unidentified flying objects in our skies.
And that's the reason why they have military lasers in the skies. That's the reason why they have a new what's it called, NASA hiring interplanetary police force or something like that. Yeah, NASA's hiring planetary protection officers to protect Earth from alien harm. Behind the scenes, here and there, but it's not pushed mainstream heavy, but they're starting to let it slip. All right, that lets you know that we're getting closer and closer to the end. Okay. I'm just gonna give a couple scriptures now that I gave that backdrop and that. I don't know why my internet. Okay, this thing is playing games right now. Hold on 1 second. All right. Con, you already, brother, y'all must be in my lesson. You already was look in my scripture, bro. Right? This is Psalm 68:4. Sing unto God, sing praises to his name, extol him that rideth upon the heavens by his name, Yah. So the Lord rides, in a chariot upon the by his name, Yah, and rejoice before him. Verse 17, the chariots of the Most High are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them as in Sinai in the holy place. All right. So he has the mothership, all right, as big as a mountain, as you know, or like a mountain size compared to the other size of the chariots. He has the mothership, and the chariots of the Lord are 20,000, even thousands of angels. Now, like I said, if you go into that actual word, thousands of angels, you'll see that it's in repetitions of thousands. All right, this is right, thousands, tens of thousands. He has first it says the chariots of the Most High is 20,000. I'll click on that. It says a myriad, indefinite, large number, great things, 10, 8, 18, 4, 40, 6 score, 3 score, 20, 20,000. So he said, so it's really tens of thousands, alaf, all right, which also means 1,000. So it says tens of thousands, then it says sha'anan, repeated, repetition, all right, repetition is over and over again, and that repetition is translated to angels. but it's so it's tens of thousands, thousand repeated. That's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. That's hundreds of thousands of chariots. All right, and it only makes sense because each and every one of us have an angel looking out for us, and there's billions of Israelites over the sands, numbered than the sands of the seas. So I wouldn't feel a stretch to say there are billions of chariots. Okay, but we just know that there's thousands and thousands, tens and tens and hundreds of thousands times repeated chariots of the Lord. Okay. Isaiah 31:5. As birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it. All right. So he's going to pass over, fly over it as what? Birds flying. All right. And he showed that and those formations. And in the we had Giants of Washington. I don't know if I still had that one up too. Right. And these were the ones over here in Washington, D.C. flying over as chariots, right? And as birds flying. Okay. Yeah, I'm about to wrap it up in 1 second. We're gonna get ready to leave. We just got a couple more precepts. 2 Kings 6:14. Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots and a great host, and they came by night and compassed the city about. And that's regular man's army, all right? And when the servant of the Most High had risen early and gone forth, behold, an host compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And the servant said unto him, Alas, my master, how shall we do? There's nothing but horses and chariots, this army, the army of the king round about us. And he answered, Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes, that he may see. And the Lord opened his eyes of the young man, and he saw. And the mountain, behold, was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. Right? Now, to prove that a man's chariots can't be engulfed with fire, go to Joshua 11:4. And they went out, and they and all their hosts with them, much people, even as the sand that is upon the seashore, and the multitude were horses and chariots very many. And when all these kings were met together, they came to and pitched together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. And the Lord said to Joshua, Be not afraid because of them, for tomorrow about this time will I deliver them all slain before Israel. Thou shalt hew their horses and burn their chariots with fire. All right? You can't, the man's chariots can be burned with fire because they're not made of fire. But the Lord's chariots are made with a propulsion system. It's made with angelic material, and it moves and lights up fire and folding upon itself. And it's fiery chariots of the Lord, man. Chariots of fire. All right. That's right. The Spirit of the Lord is and the Most High is a burning fire, a consuming fire. All right. So that's an excellent point. All right. So that's the difference between man's chariots. So we can go chariot scriptures all day. There's so many in the scriptures. I just want to prove a few of them right there. I'm gonna see any more that brother. I'll read Matati left. It's 2 Kings 2:11. They came to pass as they still went on and talked that, behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. All right. Now I really actually want to hit the verse right after that, so let me go there and we're gonna end on after that. 2 Kings 2, and I think it's 12 now. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, My father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes and rent them into 2 pieces. All right. So that was that's how the Lord called, man. He saw the chariots of fire. He called them the chariots of Israel. Right? The chariot of Israel, the chariots of horses of fire. Those are our salvation. All right? And the Most High is going to come and they're going to keep showing up more and more and more. All right? This is Zechariah 5:3. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth out of the whole face of the whole earth. For one stilleth shall be cut off as one slacketh. For everyone that stilleth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and every one that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side. So one of the things the Lord is saying is he's bringing these chariots and it's going to be as a curse against the wicked, man. All right, and it's salvation to the righteous, man. So hopefully this was edifying to the spirit and prayer. How about Shem Shai? All praise and honor and glory. How about Shem Shai? Double honors to the apostles out in New York and Great Millstone of GMS. Honors to all Akim around the planet lifting up the name. How about Shem Shai? And truth and sincerity. With that, we're going to see about Babal. And hey, keep an eye, keep watching. Shalom. Stay strong.
Shalom. Want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutation to the elect brothers out there doing the work of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All right. Now I'm going to make this a quick lesson, Lord willing, updating brothers on an article that I came across. And it says here, California Christians must now register Bibles as assault weapons. All right. Now we know the state of California was going hard about, banning the Bible, because of its, its content. Well, basically because of the law, statutes, and commandments that the Heavenly Father has set up. And this kingdom, as we know it, America, Babylon, is contrary to the Bible. All the law, statutes, and commandments that the Heavenly Father have set up, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, have gone against it by establishing his own ways. All right, so here, this is the article. It says California Christians must now register Bibles as assault weapons. Now, this is ridiculous, all right? This is ridiculous, and this is just further showing you what time we're living in. We're living in a time of prophecy. We're living in the time of the famine of the word. We're living in a time where Esau is going to come down with great wrath, all right? And Lord willing, I'm going to read some of this article and bring out some precepts. So Here it says Sacramento, California, in a blow to believers across the West Coast, a new assembly bill signed into law by Governor Jerry Brown Tuesday will require Christians in the state to register Bibles of all shapes, all sizes, shapes, and translations versions as assault weapons. All right, as assault weapons. So if you have a Bible, all right, if you're calling yourself believing in the Bible and you have a Bible, according to what this bill is saying, you will have to register your Bible, your holy Bible that you have to register as an assault weapon. All right, as an assault weapon. And this is Esau's way of trying to bring in the famine of the word. All right, which is spiritual in a sense too, because when you read the book of Hebrews, let me get it real quick. Well, yeah, Hebrews 4:12. It says, for the word of the Most High is quick and powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of souls and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is discerning of the thoughts and intents of the heart. So it says, for the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword. So spiritually, the Bible is a weapon, all right? It's a two-edged sword. It's a weapon. It's a spiritual weapon. All right. And the reason why they're trying to do this over here, they're trying to register the Bible, or have Christians register the Bible as an assault weapon, is because they're trying to ban the Bible because they're being cut. All right. Esau, all these proud Edomites, all these proud Edomite devils that you see here on the screen, they're all, cut by the word of the Heavenly Father. They're all being cut asunder into pieces, into shreds by the Lord, all right, by his word and by his prophets, because the prophets are the ones that are bringing out the word of the Lord. All right, the prophets are the one. Really, this is all targeted towards the Israelites, man. All right, because Christians, they don't go into the scriptures like the Israelites do. All right, the real Israelites, all right, the only Israelites. Okay, the men that the Most High have raised up in these day and age to prophesy the downfall of this kingdom. All right, this is geared towards us, because we use our Bible as spiritual weapons. So let me read that again. Hebrews 4:12. For the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword. So this is sharp. This is sharper than any weapon that Esau will have people register. All right. This is sharp. This is that weapon. This is destroying you, Edomites, man. Piercing even to the dividing asunder of souls and of the joints and marrow, and the discerner of the thoughts and the intent of the hearts. All right, now these people's hearts are wicked. All right, that's why they want to ban the Bible, and it's all according to prophecy. So let me read this again. Sacramento, Sacramento, California. In a blow to believers across the West Coast, a new assembly bill signed into law by Governor Jerry Brown Tuesday will require Christians in the state to register Bibles of all sizes, shapes, and translation version as assault weapons. All right. So if you don't, then I guess you'll be charged, carrying an assault weapon, and whatever penalty they're gonna, have abide with this new law is gonna be the penalty, which is all spiritual. It says many national public safety groups and political action committees praised the new law, saying that it will foster safer and more tolerant communities and save many people from having to hear words that conflict with their own worldview presuppositions. All right. Now, what does that tell you? That these people here, they don't want to hear the word of the Lord. In a nutshell, they don't want to hear the word of the Lord. All right, because we bring out laws, statutes, and commandments. We bring out the judgment on homosexuals and sodomy. All right, it hurts. It cuts these people. It cuts these homosexuals, man. All right, they might act like they don't feel any way about it, but deep inside their spirit, they're cut. All right, they're cut. That's why it's saying it's gonna bring forth safer communities. Save people from having to hear words that conflict with their own worldview, presuppositions. All right. So it says, really, this bill should be implemented nationwide, which eventually they're going to try to ban the Bible worldwide, bringing a famine worldwide. Let me get that real quick. This is the book of Amos, chapter 8, verse 11. It says, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst of water, but of hearing the word of the Lord. Now this truth, the word of the Most High, is compared to bread and water. All right, the bread of life. All right, and rivers of living water. All right, so the bread of life and the rivers of living water is going to be in a state of famine, because the word of the Lord will not be published the way it's being published now. All right, it's going to come to an halt. It's going to come to an end. All right, it's going to cease to be pushed the way it's being pushed right now. And that's all lining up with prophecy. That's why, scripture says, seek ye the Lord while he may be found, while the evil days come not. All right. So it says the famine, all right, nor a thirst of water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. All right, now if this thing is implemented the way they're saying they're going to implement it, that means the brothers out there in California, all right, when they're using the Bible in the streets, guess what? Esau is going to will try to charge them with assault, for having an assault weapon, if that's the case. All right. Now, if it does happen, guess what? That's also prophecy as well. This is Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. It says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. And Esau is looking for any and every reason to cast us into prison. All right, that's why all these allegations, false allegations, accusations, and slander that these scoffers come with, it's clearly a lie, because if it was the truth, Esau would have been had us. But Esau is looking for a crafty way to actually, so-called legally try to, apprehend us. All right, put us in prison. All right, it says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. All right, because we're gonna be thrown into these prisons. Some of us will be thrown into prison. All right, but you know what? Hey, we thrown into prison, count it all glory and joy, because I'm gonna bring a precept out that's gonna show you that the men of the Lord took it joy when they got cast into prison, man. Now if Esau's saying, well, listen, you got to stop preaching the word of the Lord and whatever. Listen, we're going to do what the Most High commanded us to do, man. All right, we're going to do what the Heavenly Father have commanded us to do, and that's what we're going to do till Yahweh Shem Yahushai, starts, makes his move, man. All right, so it says that you may be tried, and you shall have tribulation 10 days. 10 days meaning, a complete amount of days. It could be any amount of days, not just actual 10 days. It could be 1 day, 10 day, a week. However long the Most High see fit to try your faith. It says, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. All right, so this is just another way Esau is going to try to, throw some of us into prison. ban the Bible and bring in the famine of the word, which we're well aware that, you know, these Edomites could do what they got to do because we're doing what we got to do according to the, you know, the truth and the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And this says, it says again, really this should be implemented nationwide. All right, proclaim freedom from religion. Co-President Dan Baker. California is blazing the trail for civil rights once again as the rest of the country lags behind. There is just no place for these dangerous assault Bibles in a civilized society. This isn't the Wild Wild West anymore. Now, when you're reading this actually sounds like a joke, all right? But this is fact, all right? Esau is really trying to come down on his Bible. He's really trying to come down in his truth, all right? And yes, again, the Bible, according to Hebrews 4, all right, is an assault weapon, all right, a two-edged sword, so to speak, all right? You know, so-called assault weapon, but a two-edged sword, as the scriptures say, okay? All right, and this is not a civilized society. There's nothing civilized about two men getting married and laying with each other, you know, having anal intercourse and all types of wickedness, and then adopting a child. All right, there's nothing civilized about two women carpet munching and rug humping, all right, and adopting a child. That's wicked, man. The Most High is not with that. All right. Let me read some more. It's not much left. It says, already known to have strict laws restricting the sale and possession of assault weapons. This will expand the definition of assault weapon to include any Bible book quoting significant portions of the Bible, and even the dreaded high-capacity study Bibles, in which combine the scriptures with commentary, creating an even more devastating assault of truth. Hey, man, Esau got to go, man. All right? Esau has got to go, because you have some commentary Bibles that are actually, or commentary, you know, you can find commentaries on the scriptures that are actually, you know, spot on certain things. All right, whether it might sound appeasing to the average person or not. You know, I'm not saying everything, all right, but on some things they're spot on. All right, now the ultimate commentary is when we do these videos, these epistles, and we read the scriptures and we commentary, aka break it down. All right, this is what they're trying to stop. All right, it says the official definition of an assault weapon will now be read as any weapon that has a pistol grip that protrudes from the bottom of the stock, a detachable magazine, or a double column alignment of dangerous words that cut and pierce sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing of soul, spirit, and bone and marrow. Now, we just read that in the book of Hebrews chapter 4 verse 12. All right, let me read on. It says these deadly study Bibles can spit out 30 or 40 verses per page. You hear that? They sound like they just making mockery right now. All right, and then explain the historical grammatical context and the exegete to the text. Governor Brown explains to the reporters after signing the bill, it's 2017, for goodness sake. Can you believe that these religious wackos think that they can just open carry Bibles in public spaces where young children and free thinkers are present? Now, who's out in public spaces with Bibles and reading them? The prophets of the Most High. I forget about these Christians. That's just a cover up. They're not going to outright say Israelites. All right, and it says in public spaces where young children and free thinkers are present. Well, guess what? Nobody's saying that when a transsexual, transgender cross-dresser walk down the streets with rainbow hair, a basket with flowers, and a damn tutu, you know, ballerina outfit, man. Nobody got nothing to say about that. But when you bring out the word of the Most High, it's dangerous, right? It's all hell. It's wicked. You know, it's the worst thing ever. It says spiritual people aren't having their rights taken away. That's just the right-wing alarmists trying to scare you. New Age books will still be readily available in book retailers across the Golden State, he added. Now, let me get the scripture, Acts chapter 5, verse, I jumped to the point, 29. This is when Peter and the other apostles were arrested for preaching the word, you know, in the synagogues and teaching the word of the Most High. It says, then Peter, this is after they got out, all right? It says, then Peter, matter of fact, yeah, this is after they got out, all right? There was, the Most High got them out. You know, if you read up above, I believe this was the case when the angel, it says, but the angel of the Lord by night opened the prison doors and brought them forth and said, go stand and speak in the temples to the people all the words of this life. All right, so that was the story. And then when you read down, it says, then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than men. All right, we under strict commandments of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua until he, gives us further notice. All right, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. It says, who the world even called God, Jesus Christ. It says, the God of our fathers raised up Yahushua, whom he slew and hanged on a tree. Him had the Most High exalted with his right hand to be a prince and a savior, for to give repentance to Israel and forgiveness of sins to who? Israel. Yashar Allah. All right, that's it. So reading on. It says, we are his witnesses of these things, and so is also the Holy Spirit, whom the Most High hath given to them to obey him, that obey him. When they heard it, they were cut to the heart and took counsel to slay them. All right. Now these people, these councilmen, all right, these higher ups, they're cut to the heart because of the word of the Most High. All right. We don't show these Edomites no respect. All right. When it comes to the word of the Most High, when it comes to, whatever, we don't show these Edomites no respect. We don't spare them. All right. Scriptures say, spare none. All right. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet. All right. So we lift up our voice like a trumpet. We bring out the cold truth. All right. The cold truth. All right. The hot, cold truth. Straight up and uncut and raw. We don't care what the elites think or anybody, man. So they cut to the heart. All right, it says, then stood there up one in a council, a Pharisee named Gamaliel, a doctor of the law, had a reputation among all the people, and commanded to put the apostles forth a little space, and said unto them, ye men of Israel, take heed to yourselves what ye intend to do as touching these men. All right, why? Because those are men of the Lord. All right, for behold, for before those days rose up Thaddeus, boasting himself to be somebody, to whom a number of men, about 400, joined himself, who were slain, and all as many as obeyed him were scattered and brought to naught. Now I'm going to end it on there. All right, the point there was when Peter and the other apostles said they ought to obey the Most High rather than men. All right, now we under strict commandments of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua to preach the word, be instant in season and out of season until further notice, man. All right, until Amos 8 and 11, the famine of the word come to pass. All right, and there's no more internet. There's no more pushing his word on YouTube. There's no more going out on the highways and byways. And the prophecies, the major prophecies, Jacob's trouble, and all these different prophecies are actually happening. All right, so this is just an update on the article. This is from an article called BabylonB.com. All right, and if you type in this exact words right here, California Christians must now register Bible as assault weapons, you'll find a lot of articles on this. Okay, so just an update for you brothers, man. So anyway, watch out for this devil. He's about to make moves. So just stay strong, man. Walk that narrow straight path, and pray and fast. All right. So with that, I'm gonna say shalom to the elect.